Welcome to the Blind Android Users channel. This is your source for everything Android, tutorials and demos, all from a blindness perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this.
Hello and welcome to episode 80 of the Blind Android Users podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm joined by my co-hosts Warren Carr, Austin Pinto, Fee Dunn and Doug Cameron, and we're coming to you on Saturday the 18th of June 2022. It's a busy show for you this week. We'll have our usual announcement section. In our Android Basics, we'll take a look through the sounds and haptics section of the Android settings, and we'll conclude with highlights from Talkback. Well, how are we all doing? Doug, what's going on in Alberta?
Oh, just political playground occurring out here. Rain, kind of like what I hear it's been like out that way. Yeah, it's been pretty decent. Trying to get our house back in order after getting a massive paint job, so it's been taking longer than planned.
Nice. Austin?
So we should be getting rains by this time of the year. But this year, for some unknown reason, the rain has completely taken a holiday and we get very light spells of rain. So it's very hot and humid, more humid than can be tolerated. But things are going on good.
Oh, that does sound a bit sticky. iPhone, what's happening in London?
London. Well, we nearly melted yesterday. We got up to was it 34 or something like that?
34. Yeah, my office had no air conditioning. I was not happy about it.
Oh dear. I had to go on the underground in that. Oh yeah, with no air conditioning. Today it's cooler. It's still quite warm, but it's cooler. Other parts of England are like 13 degrees Celsius. We're talking about here. But we're still at about I think we're down to about 18 or 19 now outside. And it keeps drizzling, so that's a bit sort of miserable. But I even though it was rather hot, I do enjoy the sunshine. So I'm hoping that it comes back. So yeah, that would be good.
No, I wouldn't mind it chucking it down. It was hot yesterday.
A thunderstorm might be quite exciting. A bit of drama.
Yeah, that's what I want. And was a baby, what's going on?
Very interesting here. So Friday night, my daughter and I, decided to make a fire out in our yard. And, we had a nice fire going on. Very interesting. And, we were roasting some pork chops and things like that on the fire.
And some pixels. Were you roasting some Fisher Price phones on the bonfire?
Oh my
pointless.
God. Stop.
Don't try that at home, folks. Your battery will explode. It's not a good idea.
And we were also, she likes, what are those things? Marshmallows and things like that. And then, after a while, the fire was going down and, so I'm like, we're trying to keep this thing going on. And some of the logs were not burning. And so I went outside the fence because, we had thrown away some of our, Christmas tree there. I grabbed one of the Christmas trees. I brought it in and I put that thing and it went up in an instant. Fire shot like 7 feet into the air.
You nearly burned your own house down, basically.
And my daughter was scared, and I'm like, doggone, but as quickly as it went up, it went back down, in like 2 minutes. And I'm like, wow, that was so fast. I shouldn't have done that. But it was fun. We had a good time. And
Warren, I'll have to have a new ringtone for you. Firestarter by The Prodigy.
I know. And
that's good iPhone.
Here's what happened. We were both saying, hey, we should have had our phones here and we could have recorded it and put it on YouTube or something. I said, yeah, we didn't have it. I didn't bring my phone out. She didn't bring hers out either. So we didn't get to record that at all. So at least I would have shared the crackling sound with you guys.
And the whoosh, did it go whoosh?
It did. It was a big fire. I mean, even I, who is usually not scared of things, I think I was a little bit scared, and it burned um, my. So I have a water hose sitting close by there, and that thing caught on fire.
Oh dear.
I had to stomp it off.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And how old's your daughter?
She's 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet she'll always remember that.
Yeah, of course. And she's like,
Warren,
"Dad,
you're supposed to
Dad,
use
I'm
alcohol in your fires.
Well, this we have water nearby, but I knew it wasn't going to be anything, that thing, would just die there. There's no way for it to go out anywhere. And it's part of the yard that the grass is not growing. So we built a fireplace in there. And so it was just fine. Yeah.
Wow. That's very entertaining.
Yeah. But weather-wise, gosh, we're getting better. I think we're having great weather today. Tuesday, for some reason, it was really cold. We were coming back from Bible studies, and my wife and I, we had to turn on the heat. It was that cold. I mean, just 52 degrees, but it felt cold, from like 60 something degrees to, 52, just kind of felt, and it felt a little bit cold. It was very windy too. So we've been having that. And then a friend of mine dumped off some cherries on me yesterday, a big bucket of cherries. However, like I had said earlier in our podcast, this year has been terrible. We had a lot of snow in April, and so we have split cherries, and the farmers are not happy. Cherries are very poor this year, but I got a big bucket sitting down here, so I'll be eating more cherries.
I love cherries. Can you send me some in a message?
I should send some to you, my dear.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
cherries.
I'm going to just take a picture of them, say, here, feed. You can feed your eyes or feed your ears, or maybe me sitting there eating it, and so you can hear me eating it.
No, I think we need an app that can actually send food to other people. Oh yeah, that's Deliveroo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Just Eat.
We should have an app that should send food.
And now we move on to our announcement section. Austin, do we have any announcements?
So for us, for some time, we are taking hiatus out of our web presence because we have some security problems to deal with. So you can check us out on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/blindandroidusers, and also check our social media for all the new podcast shares and all. We'll be keeping you updated as we make any progress on the website, and as any shorts or any parts of the episode goes up on YouTube, they'll be shared on the social media such as Twitter and all.
Thanks, Austin. Yes, do bear with us while we fix the website.
Yeah, because some people are kind of like have been constantly attacking our website. And so we want to make sure that everybody's secure. And so we're looking into the possibilities. And so for the time being, as Austin has indicated, we're just going to try to find a way to fixing that and how best to go about doing that. But of course, you can always find us on those social media sites. And of course, we'll also try to make sure that when we upload these little clips as well as the main podcast, that we also post those things on our social media sites so that you guys could have access to it. And we thank you guys for continuing to be, faithful listeners and all of that. We really appreciate that. It means a lot to us. So we're working on these things, and you guys hang in there. It will all be fine.
Thanks, Warren. That's quite right. Now we turn to the Android Basics section, and we return to the Settings app. And this time it's all about sounds and haptics. Warren, do you want to take us away on this one?
Sounds and haptics, volumes and alarms and all of that are all found here within the sound settings area within the system settings. And of course, we all know how important sound is to us, and most especially, not just the blind, but I mean, the phone has become like a media player of some sort. We do all sorts of things with our phones. And so sound has become a very important part. I don't see anyone having a phone without sounds. And so we're looking at sounds today, what that means to us, what the different channels are there within that sound, how we can adjust those things, and also how that relates to us as blind people, because we love our sounds, don't we? We have all those ear cons and whatever that people call. Some of us love it, and some of us knuckleheads like me totally hate those sounds. Ear cons and blah blah blahs. But today we're looking at those. And Fee, you want to start? How important are sounds to you? Forget about the part of the volumes and all of that. We all need that. But then there are a boatload of other sounds in here, as I've indicated. How important are these in your world?
Oh, this is my favorite thing in the settings, I think, really. Obviously, there are things you have to do, like connect to a Wi-Fi network and stuff, aren't there, when you get your phone, if you want to download big things or whatever and not use up all your data. But then there are things you can do because it's fun. And one of the first things I always do when I get a new phone is go to the sound settings, once it's all set up and talking and everything, of course, because I go to the sound settings, I see what ringtones they've given me on that phone. I put my own ringtones in the ringtone folder and message alerts in the message alerts folder. And if I've got the names wrong, someone can tell me in a minute. Because I have songs I really like, so I chop out bits of my favourite songs on the computer. Although there are a few apps I think that you can use to do that on the phone. I tend to do it on the computer because it's usually quicker. I haven't done it for a while, but there are ones I like, so I move them to the new phone. But sometimes they give you very cool noises, and also I always change the sound because I've got a Samsung phone, and going on the London Underground, which I do quite regularly, you often hear the Samsung doo-doo-doo noise, and if I didn't change those ringtones and sounds from the normal standard ones, I wouldn't know, is this my phone? Is this somebody else's phone ringing or having a message? So I always love messing around with the sounds in particular, and I turn off the ear cons because I want to hear the speech personally as fast as possible. But I think it's nice that we have them if we want them. I do have it so that when you lock the screen, it makes a noise, or when you put it on charge. But I don't have the other ear cons usually. I tend to turn them off.
So now, though, we want to go into here and look at the things that I found within the sounds and haptics and volumes and all of that. And so I'm going to navigate to my Pixel phone, to the system settings, and I'm using my Pixel 6 Pro, running, of course, Android 13 Beta 3.2. And by the way, talking about Android 3 Beta 3.2, so this past Friday, out of the blue, Google dropped Android 13 Beta 3.2. And so I know we posted that on both our email and Telegram groups. But so we have another one there that came through, and basically what that did was fix some issues that people were having, probably with some applications wherein the back gesture is not working right and things like that. I think there are a total of 5 items that got rectified with this drop of the 3.2. We'll probably include that in our show notes. But now, having said that, I will now navigate to my system settings and go to that sounds, and then maybe Fee can also show what hers looks like on the Samsung phone, so we have both going on. So here is what I'm talking about. In the system settings now, and let's go to sounds and vibration, haptics, and all of that.
Sound and vibration, volume, haptics, do not disturb.
Okay, so I'm going to go in here and show you what it's contained right within this area.
Sound and vibration. Navigate up, button, out of list.
And here are the items that we find here.
Media volume, in list.
Media volume has to do with the things that you're playing, whether you're on YouTube or you're playing some songs or some podcast. All that goes to the media volume.
52%. Media
See,
volume
my
slider.
media volume is at 52%, and so one could adjust that individually. Next, I have
Call volume.
the call volume. Of course, that has to do with our phone. So whenever you're making a phone call, you can adjust just that volume.
50%. Call volume slider.
I have mine at 50%. Next, we have,
Ring and notification volume.
and this is the one that sometimes makes all that difference. For instance, if your notifications are getting a little bit too loud, you want to come here and change that. And by the way, you can also access that by simply tapping on the volume key. And when it pops up all those media controls to the right-hand side, then you can just tap on the sound settings and go change that. It will also bring you here. And of course, if you're running something other than a device running Android Pie or 10 or higher, then your sounds will be near the top of the screen. And so this is the notifications and volume control, ringtones and volume.
14%. Ring and notification volume slider.
So I have mine at 14% because I don't like my notifications making a lot of sounds, and most of my notifications are off anyway. I don't have any of my notifications making sounds, but I have Telegram on. It's probably the only one that I have, and maybe my SMS. Those are the only two that I have. And so I kind of like them on the low side, so I have it set to 14%. Next, we have
Alarm volume.
an alarm. Of course, you want to be able to wake up in the morning, and this is important.
83%. Alarm volume slider.
And mine is set to 83%. And continuing,
Do not disturb on.
do not disturb is on because I don't want it to make any noise now while we're recording. However, in normal circumstances, my do not disturb will not be on, but unless I'm, going to bed or things of that nature. But right now, because we're doing this recording, I have it on. And so your do not disturb is also found here where you can go in here and customize it. I think we've shown this in one of our episodes before. And so it's like a spider. On Android, you find a lot of things elsewhere. So if you can find something somewhere where you thought it would be, it will be somewhere there. Like this one is found in a lot of places.
Phone ringtone, the big adventure.
And here is my phone ringtone. And here you can go in and change. Mine is called a big adventure. I like adventures just like that fire thing we had back in our backyard. So I could go in here and change it if I don't like it. So if you don't like your ringtone where it says the name of the ringtone, then you can just tap here and go change that ringtone to something else that you prefer.
Live caption, automatically caption speech.
Now, this is something that may just be exclusive to the Pixel phone, and that's why I would like Fee to be able to show hers also on her Samsung phone. And I'm not sure if every phone has this or if this is something that's just exclusive to the Pixel phone. I am not sure, but I thought Google may be bringing this to everybody. Who knows? But it's probably just on the Pixel phone.
Adaptive sound, off.
And here's another adaptive sound, and it may be yet another item that is exclusive to the Pixel phone. In other words, you want it to adapt your sound to be adaptive, and I have mine turned off. Anyway, one could turn it on if you have nice experience. You want some nice experience.
Now playing. Identify songs playing nearby.
And
Show
now,
items 1 to 9,
now
19.
playing is another one of those exclusives that I believe is only found in Pixel phones. And it may be some other OEMs are doing the same thing. I cannot say for sure. Maybe Nokia and Motorola might be doing it. I'm not sure. I'm not positive about that.
Media, hide player. Showing items 8 to 18 of 18.
That's another, I think another Pixel thing.
Vibration and haptics, off.
Vibrations and haptics, and this is very important for people who like hearing haptics and vibrations. And so if I tap on this where it says
Vibration
off,
and haptics. Navigate up button out of list.
And here we are. Mine is set to off, but you can turn it on. I'm going to just tap on the on switch, which is found near the top right, to the on position.
Use vibration and haptics off switch in list.
Here, use vibrations and haptics is switched off. I'm going to turn it on.
On.
So when you turn it on, here are some of the things that you will find here in that haptics and vibrations.
Calls heading.
Under calls, we got,
Ring vibration.
do you want your thing to ring?
100% ring vibration slider.
So that's the vibration. You could change or adjust the intensity of that haptic. You know, some people like theirs to be really hard or whatever. You want your soft vibration, whatever. So you could adjust the intensity of your vibration. And here's that. Mine is, for some reason, when I turn it on, it set it to 100%.
Vibrate first, then ring gradually. Off switch.
And you could turn this on. So in other words, it will just first start to vibrate before it kicks in the ringer. And that's what that is.
Notifications and alarms heading.
So under notifications and alarms, we got
Notification vibration.
33%.
Notification vibration slider.
So if you want your notifications to also vibrate, you know, you could increase the intensity or decrease it. It's up to you. Of course, as you could see, I had mine turned off. I'm not into all of that.
Alarm vibration.
Alarm.
100% alarm vibration slider.
That is 100%.
Interactive haptics heading.
Now we have something called interactive haptics, and that's like maybe when you long press an icon, or maybe you tap on something and you want to be able to feel those vibrations. This is where you can adjust those, because I've heard some people saying, hey, you know, this thing is kind of soft. So you may want to come in here and see if you could adjust the intensity, the strength of that vibration.
Touch feedback.
Here we got touch feedback.
33% touch feedback slider.
You could increase that if you wanted to.
Media vibration.
And media vibration.
100% media vibration slider.
Wow.
Showing.
And I think that's the last one that we have there.
Vibration and haptics out of list.
And I'm going to go back now and look at the other items.
Sound and vibration. Vibration and haptics on in list.
And then we go from here. We got
default notification sound pipes.
And this is when your phone makes those sounds, whether it's SMS messaging or whatever. When you set up your phone for the first time and you haven't customized anything, all the sounds are going to be the same. So whether you're getting an SMS message or you're getting a WhatsApp message or a Telegram or some other alert, the sound would be the same, which is the default. And in my case, it's called pipes. And of course, if you want to change it to something else, you tap here to go change it. And then you have to change it per app basis, as we've done elsewhere in our podcast. You could change that, or else they'll all sound the same.
Default alarm sound, bright morning.
I got mine bright morning. I like that. I like bright mornings. Today is a very bright morning. Next.
Dial pad tones on switch.
So if you like hearing those dial pad tones, you could turn this on. By default, they're on. And if you don't like them, then you could turn them off. But I don't know. Most places would like those dial pad tones in order to be able to access what's going on, like on a phone tree and things like that. So mine is on. I leave it on.
Screen locking sound on switch.
Screen locking sound. So when you turn off the screen or shut off the screen, it makes a sound. If you don't want that to happen, then you could turn this off if you think it's bothering you.
Charging sounds and vibration on switch.
When you plug in your charger, of course, you're going to hear it make that sound, and it may also vibrate depending on the device. But if you don't want that, then you could also turn it off.
Touch sounds on switch.
And touch sounds.
Always show icon when in vibrate mode off switch.
And you could turn that on if you wanted to. Mine is off. You could tell that I'm not a sounds person. And I think for me, though, that would be the last one. Fee, do you want to take us through a tour of what it is like on a Samsung phone, most especially there in that sound and haptics and volumes and all of that?
I can. Slight disclaimer, there is a software upgrade that I haven't yet done because it's been a busy old week, but I don't believe it's a major one. Okay, I'm using the British vocalizer Serena voice, and I've gone into settings and into the sounds bit. So I'm in the sounds and vibration bit. Before I start this, I want to say something that I really like about Android, that as far as I know, you still can't do on the iPhone. And it's one of the favorite things I have about sounds in Android phones, where, for example, if I'm listening to music or an audiobook and then somebody sends me a text, if I want the text to be louder because it's important, I can turn up the volume, or if it's something I don't need to look at till later and the book or the music's more interesting, I can turn down the accessibility volume, the speech, without turning up or down the audiobook or the music I'm listening to. The volume controls for both of those things are separate. And I really like that because on the iPhone, you can change the speech volume, but it still changes when you press the volume keys on the iPhone. The speech will change with whatever else you're playing. I do love that Android lets you have separate controls. That's a brilliant thing. So I'm in the sounds and vibration section of settings.
Search settings button. Sound mode 1 of 18. In sound selected. Radio button.
So I don't think Warren had this at the top. It says sound mode, so it says sound, and then which is ticked at the moment. And then if I go down,
vibrate not selected. Radio button.
I could have the phone vibrate instead.
Mute not selected. Radio button.
If I mute's good if I don't want it to vibrate or make a sound or do anything. So for in church and things like that.
Vibrate while ringing on. Switch 2 of 18.
So I've gone down past those radio buttons now. So I've got it so that the phone will vibrate when it's ringing, because sometimes I'm looking for it in my bag and having it vibrate is very useful because you can feel where it is.
Ringtone notification. Ringtone vibrate while ringing on. Ringtone Erin Shaw 4 of 18.
So the ringtone is Erin Shaw, which is one that I put on there. I'm going to give you a really quick demo of how you change ringtones, because if you haven't done this before, it might be a bit of a shock, especially if your ringtone is quite loud. If you try and change the ringtone, it might make you jump out of your skin if you're not prepared for it. So I'm going to double tap this.
Ringtone. Navigate up button. Ringtone. Add button.
So I could add a ringtone.
Ticked. Erin Shaw 29 of 182 in list.
So you can tell
items.
I've got
Erin
lots
Shaw.
of ringtones. But if I try, because these all have just names, but if I want to hear one, I can select it. And this is the bit where it can all get a bit loud.
50 verses. 30 of 100. Delete button. Folder goodbye end. 30. Goodbye. He never mentioned love. Heaven knows.
Heaven knows. This is a one I made from a song, and this might be a bit loud. So it can be a bit difficult then to go back to the previous one because the ringtone's a bit loud. Erin Shaw, that's the one I want. And I'm going to go back with the back button. What I should have done is change the ringtone volume first before I started going through them. And just to make you aware, you might think, oh, I'll plug in the headphones and then the ringtones won't be loud. They will, because the phone will demo how it will actually ring. So you do need to turn the volume down first if you're going to be going through lots of ringtones and you don't want to really annoy everyone, and maybe including yourself. So that's how you change the ringtone.
Notification sound suite 5 of 18.
And then you can do something similar with the notification sound, which is less problematic because they're usually shorter.
Aurora 6 beat ones. Cassiopeia Chaos Contact Cosmic Rid Cosmic Split Luna Meteor. Glitter. 23 of
Oh,
69.
glitter is one I put on there, I think. Oh, no, it's not.
Luna. Meteor. Milky Way. Nebula. 20. Orion. Prism. Red Dwarf. Signal. 30. Spaceline. Sticky. Transmitter. Voyager.
Hey
30.
Fee,
Calm Header.
could you
30.
play
very-
the Red
Showing
Wolf?
items
I
34
heard
to
Red
Voyager.
Wolf. I want to
Transmitter.
hear what the
Sticky.
Red Wolf
Spaceline.
sounds like.
Signal. 30. Red Dwarf. 30 of 69. Ticked.
That's
Oh,
it.
I thought I was gonna hear like a wolf barking.
No,
you
no,
know.
no, no. Red Dwarf.
Oh, okay.
Not not Red Wolf.
Oh my god. I love it. Isn't that beautiful? I thought it
I'm
said
gonna-
Red Wolf, and I'm like, I want to hear what a Red Wolf sounds
I was thinking Red Wolf. What's he talking about? But I thought, oh, he must have meant Red Dwarf.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's funny. Let's go back to the previous.
Contact. Chaos. Cassiopeia. Beat 1. Alpha. Aurora. Ticked.
That's the one I had. It's got a nice. You won't hear it on here, but it's got a nice stereo-ness, and it's not too shouty and loud. Because, like you, Warren, I don't really like it. A notification sound to shout at me.
Notification sound. Out of list. Navigate up. Button.
So I'll go out of that.
Sound and vibration. System sound. Calm. 6 of 18.
So that's like a sound theme for things like when you put the battery on charge and stuff. And I think that's a Samsung thing. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I thought calm is probably good. We need a bit of calm these days.
Volume. 7 of 18.
I'm not going to go into volume because it's very similar to what Warren demonstrated. Mine didn't have a call volume, but I can alter the volume when I'm actually on a call. But yeah, it was very similar.
Call vibration pattern. Basic call. 9 of 18.
So you can change the pattern of your call vibration. So if I open that,
Call vibration. TikTok. 7 of 9. In list. 9 item. Heartbeat. 6 of 9. Ticked. Basic call. 5 of 9.
so mine's just basic call, but if I change it, I wonder if you can hear it vibrate.
TikTok. 7 of 9. Heartbeat. 6 of ticked.
Yeah, so it went zzz. If I put it on TikTok,
TikTok. 7. Ticked.
yeah, so it changes the
Waltz. 8 of 9.
oh waltz. I don't know what.
Ticked. Message. Telegram. 36 new. TikTok.
I think that was my Red Wolf.
TikTok.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll go back to waltz because that it yeah. So waltz is
Waltz. 8 of 9. Ticked. Zig. Ticked.
yeah.
Navigate
So
up.
that's all of them. I'm going to go back to the basic.
Medium. Basic call. Medium. Short. 3 of 9.
Oh, there's
Galaxy.
oh,
Short.
what's Galaxy? Oh,
Short. 3
nothing.
of 9. Ticked. Medium. 4. Ticked. Basic call. 5 of ticked.
So that's like the long vibration. I'll keep that because it's easier to find the phone.
System UI. BB. Call vibration.
It's good to know that I can change it though
Navigate up. Button.
if I want.
Sound. Notification sound. Galaxy. Or system sound. Volume. 7. Call vibe. Notification vibration pattern. TikTok. 10 of 18. Showing items 1.
So I
of
could
10.
change that. It's a similar sort of thing for notifications.
Vibration intensity. 11 of 18. Showing
If I
items 15 of
open
18.
vibration intensity, it lets me change the intensity of vibration for ringing and notifications.
Vibrate. In 100%. Notifications. 2. 100%. Touch interaction. 3 of 4.
Touch interaction is quite a lot lower, so if I increase that, you might hear.
40%. Slider. 60%. 80%. Slider. 100%. Slider.
No, I don't know if you can hear it because it's very quickly sort of going. I'm going to take it down to 30% actually.
80%. 40%. Slider. 20%. Slider.
Actually, that'll do 20%.
Vibrate. Navigate up. Sounds and vibration. Separate app sound. Play media sound from one app on a different audio device. 16 of 18.
I've never played with that.
Sound quality and effects. 15 of 18.
I've gone back slightly because I jumped a bit. Sound quality and effect, you can turn on Dolby Atmos, but it's again something I haven't really played with.
System sound stroke vibration control. Control touch sounds, vibrations, and keyboard feedback. 1318.
So I'm not going to open that, but that's where you can change whether your keyboard and touch sounds and clicks and things are turned on and off. So most of mine are switched off.
Vibration intensity 11 of
15. Oh, that's so we're
System
back to
sounds,
that.
Sound separate app looking for something else.
And then at the bottom, looking for something else, and it just gives you a few suggestions.
Alert when phone picked up. Do not disturb.
So that's the sounds bit of the settings on mine. And if I'm on my own with a new phone, I have far too much fun mucking about with ringtones and playing them all. And I tend to do this in a room on my own so as not to annoy anybody.
So as you saw, I want to notify you that different OEMs have their settings laid out differently. You saw Samsung did not have some features of Pixel, whereas Samsung had some features that Pixels did not have, or the settings were worded differently. So different OEMs have different settings layouts, and also their volume panel is different. That is the beauty of Android. It's very, very customizable. So you just can't pick up the phone and go, okay, this setting will be laid out in this manner only, because different brands have different ways of laying out settings. So I have one news for the sound category, and I thought I would put it in the announcement section, but then I thought it would be more related in the sounds section. So OnePlus is removing their alert slider from everything except the OnePlus 2T. So only if you have a flagship OnePlus phones, you will get the alert slider. Otherwise, it's not going to be any alert sliders for you. What do y'all think about that?
By alert
OnePlus
slider,
was
do you mean the volume sliders for the alerts, or do you mean being able to change the alert?
Like the iPhone, there was a slider that had a silent, then
your volume toggle.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, you
talking
mean a
about he's talking
switch?
about the switch there on the
A
side.
physical
Yes.
switch.
And
Oh,
OnePlus is removing that. And I think my take on all of this is the fact that, OnePlus has just been rebranding a lot of the Apple phones as OnePlus phones, when in reality, they are not OnePlus phones. They're just rebranding, putting a different cover with OnePlus logo on it. But in reality, it's just an Apple phone. And that's what's going on. That's how I see it.
I think it would be good if more phones had a slider on the side, actually. Because
That would be perfect.
Because sometimes I've used Google to try and change to do not disturb or something, and it tells you it's done it, but it actually hasn't. And at least with a switch on the side, you'd know which way it was, so you could tell straight away that you'd done it right. Like if you suddenly remembered just before your meeting or your church service or whatever started, and you hadn't done it, you could quickly just move that switch. That is one thing that Apple does that's quite nice, having that switch on the side. Apart from when one of your parents accidentally turns that switch and then wonders why their phone doesn't ring. But yeah, probably less said about that the better.
I know Samsung used to have it where a short press of both your volume buttons would turn you into vibrate mode.
And I don't think they do that anymore.
No, they don't. So, having that switch would actually be really beneficial.
It would.
Because I know for me, when I lived in the Apple ecosystem, I used that switch all the time. It was so convenient.
It is.
In your pocket, slide your hand in, flip the switch. You don't need to pull your phone out and play around.
No, and even if you could just press both volume keys and maybe I mean, when you did that, did your phone go zzz to sort of show you it was on vibrate now?
Yeah,
Because that would be good.
It actually vibrated. It was
Yeah.
very clear.
And then if you did it again, would it go ding or something? So you knew it was back.
You actually then had to just press your volume up button to get your audio back. And then you bring it up one notch at a time. So it was convenient to put it into vibrate mode, but it was inconvenient to take it out.
But it's usually putting it on silent that needs to be the quick thing, though, isn't it? So
Exactly.
That sounds like it was the right way round.
So, I mean, if you have a smartwatch, I know, like, I can control my volume toggle off my watch for my phone, but not everybody.
I used to be able to do that when I had a smartwatch, but then it broke. So
it's like not everyone has that ability. So having that switch on your phone would just be, an extra benefit.
Or if there isn't room for the switch, in terms of physically, that the volume key thing that you described, that would be really good.
I think, though, that OnePlus has it even better than Fruitvale because you have three, switches. You got the either vibrate, the silent mode, and the ringer. And I think that the Fruitvale, you only have either ring or silent.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So OnePlus actually is a one step better than what you have on Fruitvale.
Exactly. And
it is, yeah.
With Apple, you have the ability to go into your settings and change whether it goes to vibrate or silent.
Yeah.
But I like what OnePlus has with the ability to take it from any of your settings. It's super convenient, and it's something that I don't know why they'd want to remove that feature. I'd want to be finding ways to make sure it can go on all phones.
And also, it's another thing that would make OnePlus stand out and make people go, "Oh, I want a OnePlus phone again because of this thing." If they use it a lot, and now they're taking it away. How silly!
Yeah, basically, they just want to keep it for like flagship phones, and that's basically what it is. And like I said, all their mid-rangers, in reality, they're just Apple phones that are being rebranded as OnePlus. And in reality, if you go back and look at it, like someone was saying, I was reading elsewhere, even the 5T or whatever was an Apple phone. And so OnePlus kind of been playing these games. I mean, we love you, OnePlus, don't misunderstand us, but come on, man, be in the urban app,
So you're saying they're Oppo phones? Is that?
Yeah,
I've never used one of those.
They are from the same company, BBK Electronics or whatever, owns all of them, and that's why they were trying to merge all the OS to Color OS instead of OnePlus having the Oxygen, and so there was an outcry from the community. And so they now backed off and say, okay, we'll just give you the Oxygen OS or whatever instead.
Well, everyone needs oxygen.
Yeah, but it makes me feel like I'm joking.
Especially your Christmas tree fire, that had lots of oxygen by the sounds of things.
There was a lot of oxygen in my yard, and that thing was just amazingly, hot. So, but there we have it. If you have a OnePlus, you want to get the flagship. If you're looking for that slider, it's not going to be found on, other variants of the phone.
If you can't afford it and you wanted that switch, then you'll just have to cry instead.
Exactly.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame. Well, guys, we somehow lost Ed, and so we'll proceed without Ed here. And Ed, if you're hearing us on the air, hello to you.
He couldn't stand the excitement of my demo.
It was the Red Wolf
sounds.
That kicked him off.
Yeah.
The Red Wolf.
Is there such a thing as a red wolf?
It was a red wolf. So, as Fee, you were saying earlier on, before we bring this segment to a close, in reality, as I've always argued, if you're blind, you want to get a phone, if it's not, the latest phone, but, you need to get something that at least have Android Oreo, Android 8.0, so that you'll have that separation of the media from the accessibility volume. Anything below that would be something that is not all that bueno. you're not going to be able to separate those volumes. So it is important, if you're getting a phone, you don't have the moolah, but you're getting some lower phone, make sure that that phone at least, at the very minimum, has Android 8.0.
Yeah, although I'd say really you want at least 10.
Yeah.
At least.
Another thing, though, that I noticed that wasn't there, even though we have the accessibility volume, you don't find that within the sound, haptics, and volume area for some reason. And
no, it's true.
It's not there. So it's really not a very true, dynamic volume of its own in some way, but at least it works.
I'll tell you where it is. I think it's in the talkback settings, but it's a bit silly for the volume, but it's a bit silly. But I mean, you can just change. There was something else actually that I didn't demonstrate when I didn't open the volume thing, the volume settings bit, because you'd already done it and it was so similar. But there was a thing in there in my phone where you could say that you wanted the volume keys to change media volume by default, and I have that switched off because I want to be able to use my volume keys to change accessibility volume or media volume, so that's something that's important. If you've set it to change media volume by default with the volume keys, then you might be wondering why the volume keys aren't changing your accessibility volume. And the phone knows to change the accessibility volume because you do it while it's talking to you. If you do it while it's not talking to you and it's just playing YouTube or Audible or whatever, then it will change the media volume. So that's how you know which one you're doing. And if it's not playing any media at all, then you will end up changing the ringtone volume. And that can be quite handy.
So what I was saying, though, when you go into that volume, the area that we've just been in, every channel has its controls in there.
Yeah, but not accessibility.
For some reason, we don't have the accessibility one in there. So
no, it should be. But it is in Talkback instead. But yeah, that's a bit silly.
Yeah, no, I understand it's in Talkback, but it should have its own channel, in that area as well. If it is a true volume control of its own that has its own dynamic channel, it should be found here as well.
Yeah, that would be good.
I don't know what version of Android you're on, Fee, but on Android 12, I do have the volume for accessibility in those channels.
Well, I looked earlier today, and I definitely have Android 12, and I didn't.
So
it wasn't there.
When I'm in my settings for sound and sound and vibration, I go to the option that just says volume.
Yeah.
And at the very bottom of my list, I have an option that says accessibility volume.
Let me just double check then.
Can you show us that, Cam?
Just give me 1 second.
Settings, connections, Douglas connections, sounds and vibration, sounds and sound, vibrate, mute, not vibrate, well, ringtone, Android, notification sound, system sound, volume, 7 of 8, volume, volume, more options, ring, Bixby voice, 60%, accessibility, 7 of 10, accessibility, 100%, accessibility. Slot. Use volume keys for media. Control the media volume by default when you press the volume keys on. Switch. 9 of 10.
And that's right at the bottom, basically the bottom of my list.
And that's what Fee was talking about, that media volume controls.
So my accessibility volume channel is immediately above the use of buttons for media volume.
You're right. I've just checked. And I actually do have the accessibility. So but your one didn't have that, Warren. Mind you were using an older Pixel, weren't you, Warren? So maybe that's why.
I'm using Pixel 6. So here's what I keep saying. Sometimes people like to give Samsung a bad time, but I've always argued that, in reality, Samsung goes beyond the call of duty in a lot of places when it comes to accessibility. I mean, looking at it now, having a prominent channel for accessibility within the volume and haptics area, that's what I was saying. It should be there, and I'm not seeing that in the Pixel. So kudos to Samsung for making that prominent in there. That's what I was talking about. And that would be it for this sounds and haptics and volumes. And now we move on to Talkback highlights. This week, I'm talking about the copying of text. And for some reason, we have now some ability to where we're able to copy some text even from the web, even though it's not the way that we would like it to be, where we could do selective selection and all of that. But now here is my demonstration from the Talkback highlights. We continue now with our theme of highlights from Talkback. This is installment 40. In our last installment, installment 39, I detoured and talked about Android Accessibility Suite 13.0, which came bundled with Android 13 Beta 3. Today, however, I am returning to what I started back in installment 37, and that was when we got started with the three-finger gestures, and stopping at installment 38, with installment 39 looking at the new Android Accessibility Suite that was bundled with Android 13 Beta 3. I will now continue from here, going back to looking at the three-finger gestures found in Talkback. For today's demonstration, I'll be using my Pixel 6 Pro running Android 13 Beta 3.2. I am on my home screen and using three fingers now, will tap to activate the Talkback menu.
Talkback menu. Actions in list.
I am in the Talkback menu. The next item I want to tap on will be the Talkback settings.
Talkback settings.
Here is Talkback settings, and I'll tap here to activate.
Talkback settings. Navigate up button out of list.
If you've been following us in these Talkback installments, this is when we will now scroll down the page, and you scroll down vertical screens or vertical pages by putting two fingers in the middle of the phone and gliding the fingers upwards, and that in turn scrolls down your page. I'll now put two fingers in the middle, glide up, and scroll down the page.
Showing items 7 to 18 of 18.
The next item I'm looking for here is an item that talks about customization of the gestures. Thus, I'm looking for Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures. Customize gestures out of list.
I am now on the customization page of the gestures. It's now time to switch our granularity to the headings mode. In other words, it's time to switch our mode. So if you are in character mode, lines mode, or word mode, this time is to switch to the headings granularity or the headings mode. As I've said again and again, we have one of three methods with which we could use in changing those modes or those granularities. I personally prefer using the up-down scrubbing with one finger in one fluid movement to change my granularities. You may, however, happen to be one of those that would rather swipe down with their three fingers or swipe from left to right or right to left with three fingers to change your granularities. I believe that my granularity is already in the headings mode, and now all that we need to do, whether you use the one finger, three finger, or whatever, now is the time to swipe down with one finger and keep doing so until it says headings, three fingers gestures. So I'll now swipe down.
One finger heading in list.
As one finger, swipe down again.
One finger back and forth heading.
Keep going.
One finger angle heading. Showing items 7 to 17 of 51.
Swipe down.
Two fingers heading. Showing items 17 to 26 of 51.
And here comes what we're looking for.
3 fingers, heading.
There is our 3 fingers heading. And the last thing we saw under this heading was the second item. Here are the items I'm talking about. The first one will be
Tap with 3 fingers, open Talkback menu.
We saw that in installment 37, and the last one we saw within this heading was
Tap and hold with 3 fingers, screen search.
that was the screen search in installment 38. Now the one we're going to will be the double tapping with 3 fingers for copying.
Double tap with 3 fingers, copy.
Double tap with 3 fingers to copy. I do want to mention here in passing, though, that while you are on a web page, for example, something that didn't used to be, if you have a text block in place and you're reading that text block, you should be able to double tap with 3 fingers and it should be able to copy. Although this is best used when you are in an edit field, but this tells us that we're getting closer to that selective selection and copying within a web page. I will now navigate to a web page and show you what I'm talking about. Then we'll come back here and talk about the fact that you can change this if you prefer to use this to copy the last spoken phrase. I'm saying this because we now have the ability to assign a gesture to the last spoken phrase, so you don't have to navigate to the Talkback menu and tap on Copy Last Spoken Phrase. I'll now navigate to my home screen, go tap on my browser, and go find some article or something of that nature and see if we could copy.
Home, out of list.
I am back home. I'm going to tap on my browser's folder.
Folder, browsers, 4 or more items.
I'll tap here and go tap on Chrome.
Chrome.
Here's Chrome, and I'll double tap.
Chrome, 22%. Google's next Nest Wi-Fi router might add Wi-Fi 6 and simplify
I just waved my hand over the proximity sensor and silenced it. I'm going to scroll down and put my finger down somewhere that I know there's some text. And here I go. I'll put my finger down here.
Google's upcoming mesh Wi-Fi system will use a Google Wi-Fi-like hardware configuration. That means every node in the system has the same hardware, with no difference between the primary router and satellite units. On the recent Nest Wi-Fi, the satellite nodes and base were physically different hardware and couldn't be used interchangeably. It's a subtle difference, but it makes it easier to set things up and expand your network later on. If all the hardware is the same, picking up an extra node to extend your network's range is simple and doesn't require you to go out of your way to buy a specific version, and you may not need to worry about which you plug in.
I just waved my hand over the proximity sensor to silence it, and that was an article from the Android Police. Now I'll double tap with 3 fingers to copy, even though I'm on a web page. Here I go.
Copied. Google's upcoming mesh Wi-Fi system will use a Google Wi-Fi-like hardware configuration. That means every node in the system has the same hardware, with no difference between the primary router and satellite units. On the recent Nest Wi-Fi,
There we are. So that article, or that portion of the article, has been copied. And like I said earlier, we're getting closer to being able to selectively select something and then copy. But for now, this will do. And I'll now navigate my way to the Google Keep Notes and paste it. I'll now call upon the assistant and tell it to bring up Keep Notes. Keep Notes.
Keep Notes. New list.
Here is Keep Notes, and I'll tap on New Text.
New text note button out of list.
Here we go.
Editing note edit box for note body in list.
And I believe that I have what was copied on my clipboard. I'll put my finger above the keyboard, and there should be the article that I just copied.
Google's upcoming mesh Wi-Fi system will use a Google.
Tap there, let my finger go, and I should have it in my edit field. I'll put my finger down.
Editing. Google's upcoming mesh Wi-Fi system will use a Google Wi-Fi-like hardware configuration. That means every node in the system has the same hardware, with no difference between the primary router and satellite.
There it is. That's the portion of the article that I copied from a web page when it was reading a block of text by simply double tapping with 3 fingers to copy, which is a default. Now let's go about changing that. In other words, I have mentioned that you could change that to say, hey, copy my last spoken phrase if that's what you want, since we now have that capability. Although it does not have a default gesture of its own, you can, however, reassign some gesture that you're not using to the copying of the last spoken phrase. I'll now go back to the Talkback menu.
Talkback menu.
I'll go into Settings,
Talkback settings.
tab.
Talk.
Now I'm going to go into Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures.
There's Customize Gestures, tab here.
Customize gestures out of
And now I'll navigate my way to the 3 fingers heading.
1 finger heading in list. 1 finger back and forth heading. 1 finger angle heading. Show 2 fingers heading. Showing item 17.
And here comes,
3 fingers heading in list.
there is our 3 fingers heading. Now we need to go tap on, for example, if we wanted to change the default, which is double tapping with 3 fingers to copy, and changing it to copy last spoken phrase. And as I indicated, you could choose any of the gestures that you are not using or one that you're not frequently using. You may choose that to reassign it to the copy the last spoken phrase, but I'll show you how you go change that to some other gesture that you're not using. So what we need to do is go tap on the one that says double tap with 3 fingers to copy.
Double tap with 3 fingers copy.
Here's double tap with 3 fingers to copy. I'll tap here.
Double tap with 3 fingers. Move cursor to end in list.
We are now on the page where we could find something to reassign it to. In this case, we want to reassign it, for example, to say copy last spoken phrase. And so that gesture of the copying of the last spoken phrase is found under text editing. So once again, you will use the navigation, the heading navigation, to get to the text editing heading. So I'll now swipe down with 1 finger until I hear text editing.
System actions heading. Showing
System
item 16 to
actions.
30. Reading heading.
That's reading.
Menu and controls heading.
Swipe
Showing item
down.
17. Text editing heading.
Here
Showing items
is
32 to
text
48 to
editing.
56.
And under text editing, we have things like
Start or end selection mode. Move cursor to beginning. Move cursor to end. Select all. Checked. Copy.
you heard checked copy. That's the one that is checked.
Cut.
Cut,
Paste.
paste,
Copy last spoken phrase.
and copy last spoken phrase. So I'm not telling you to change it to copy last spoken phrase, but I'm showing you how you would go about changing it to, say, copy the last spoken phrase. So for example, let's say it's the 1 finger angle gesture of some sort that you're not using, and you would rather change that to the copying of the last spoken phrase. Then you tap on that gesture from the gesture customization page, and then you go down to the text editing and tap on the copy last spoken phrase. And that should change it to the one that you've selected. So for example, if I tap here,
Talkback settings. Double tap with 3 fingers. Copy last spoken phrase in list.
see now mine has been
31 to
changed
41 of-
to copying of the last spoken phrase instead of just simply double tapping with 3 fingers to copy. I'll change it back to copying with double tap with 3 fingers to copy.
Double tap with 3 fingers. Move cursor to end in list.
Now, let's see.
Other heading. Text editing heading. Showing items 20.
And here's text editing. And now I'll go tap on copy.
Copy.
There's my copy. I tap here.
Talkback settings. Double tap with 3 fingers. Copy in list.
And I'm
Showing items
back to the
31.
gesture customization page where my double tapping with 3 fingers is the copying. And that concludes the double tapping with 3 fingers to copy, or you could reassign it to say copy last spoken phrase. That would be it for this week. And now we'll hand it over to Austin and show you how you can contact us via all of our social media networks.
For people to locate us, they can email us with their questions or feedback or comments or recording submissions to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. They can browse our website, blindandroidusers.com. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/blindandroidusers. Subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. The links for Telegram and Twitter, Clubhouse will be in the show notes with all the other links. So that is it from us this week.
And this concludes this week's episode. Again, guys, we thank you so much for taking your time to be with us. And we look forward to hearing from you again, or rather, look forward to catching you guys next week as we go into the next episode. From me, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening to another clip from the Blind Android Users channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of every new material that we upload. Thanks again for listening to the Blind Android Users channel.